Namaste. Please find yourself in a comfortable reclined position and we'll begin.
So good morning and welcome everyone to your 60-minute gentle Hatha practice. As you're finding your way onto your mat, maybe in a reclined position, maybe stretching the legs out long, maybe sending the arms further away from the body. Check in with the low back and the pelvic area. If you feel like there's a lot of pulling or the mid back is lifting or just any discomfort around that axial part of the body, you're welcome to use that bolster, or if you're at home and don't have the bolster, a pillow to place underneath the knees, or just maintain a bend in the knees, maybe bringing the feet wide and allowing the knees to drop in towards one another. If the legs are extended, explore bringing the heels a little wider than the hips and just allowing the feet to drop heavy out to the sides, softening the hips to a gentle external rotation, if they will. Check in with the shoulders. Maybe you can draw the shoulder blades together slightly and wiggle them down a little further away from the ears. You'll notice a little more of an opening and expansion around the heart area. And then finally check in with the neck, maybe a very slight tuck of the chin, as though you're drawing it back towards the throat, the crown gently reaching a little closer to the top edge of the mat. So nothing too exaggerated. If you need at any point to move or wiggle or change positions, you're always welcome. While we're often striving for stillness and experimenting with coming back to the true essence of who we are, the present moment, it can be challenging. It's called a practice for a reason. So just adopting the theme of grace for yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Recognizing while we're sharing space for our practice in different ways, in person, virtually, maybe following along the recorded option. It's still very much a personal practice and experience because we're all a little or a lot different. So let's begin now by drawing a nice long, slow breath in through our nose, filling up our chest and our rib cage, of course, our lungs. And when you're ready, part through the lips and just let out a long, full breath, imagining tension just releasing out of the body with that exhalation. Let's do that again. Big breath in, filling up, 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 and holds. And letting it go. You can do that as many times as you like, as often as you like throughout the practice. Sometimes I'll remind you just to reset the breath, a nice tension releasing breath, bringing us back to the present moment and reminding us as well to just let go of any physical tension that doesn't need to be there. If the eyes are open, I invite you just to soften all the muscles of the eyes, and if they'll close without feeling forced, let it happen. Maybe imagining the outer corners of the eyes slightly drawing out and upward towards the crown, like a smile was spreading across your eyes, just feeling a little more softening there. Check in with the jaw. Often we have a tendency to hold tension in the jaw. So just unhinging, relaxing the upper and lower jaw. So there's a little space between while the tongue falls heavy in the lower palate. Bringing some awareness to your organic breath now without changing anything. Noticing how it flows, the length of the inhales, the length of the exhales. Maybe the temperature of the air as it enters in through the nostrils, as well as when it exits out. Maybe feeling the breath, the back of the throat or the nasal cavity or both. And then noticing what expands and contracts as you breathe in and out. Surrendering completely to the breath for these next few rounds, maintaining a gentle awareness on everything about your breath. Good. At the end of your next exhale, maybe just begin to wiggle a little through the fingers and the toes. And again, just that reminder, you don't have to take everything literally. If something doesn't work in your body or something feels more calling to you or resonant, then please feel free to move in a different way or stay in poses longer if it's really serving you. Let's gently rock the head from side to side, maybe relaxing the fingers and toes, or maybe you keep them moving as well. Just nice, slow turn of the head from side to side, maybe starting to incorporate your breath with movement. Dropping the chin over to one shoulder on the exhale, slowly bringing the head back to center, fueled by your inhale, and then exhaling to the other side. So just real mindful, less is more approach to our practice today. Thinking about the quality of our movement over quantity. When you're ready, bring the head back to center. Zip the legs in close now. Point the toes, so if the toes are turning out, internally rotate the legs so they're pointed towards the ceiling. Flex through the heels and then point through the toes. Let's start to send the arms up when it feels right. If it feels right, maybe the hands connect, or maybe the hands stay shoulder distance, or maybe they're wider. And just explore any movement. Maybe we're rolling out now through the wrists and the ankles a few times in each direction. Good. And then just relax the upper arms overhead. Maybe the elbows need to bend for the backs of the arms to connect. And we'll slide the elbows down to about shoulder height now. So our arms are in that 90-degree bend, or cactus with the backs of the arms resting. Wiggle the shoulders back in, adjust the neck. And then we'll take a bend into the knees, bringing the inner edges of the feet together. It might feel good to push into the feet to lift the low back, and then gently release the vertebrae back down. Take a big breath in with the knees together, and as you exhale, slowly drop the knees open. Take a breath in, gradual approach. Exhale, knees dropping open a little further. Again, pausing on the inhale. It might take 3 or 4 breaths to finally allow the soles of the feet to connect and the legs to fully heavily drop out to the sides to an external rotation. Now check in, is this too intense of a stretch? Do you feel like there's a lot of pulling at the inner thighs, or it's just uncomfortable for some reason? Bring your blocks to the outer thighs just to support. Again, the chest is open. Now we're asking for a deep external rotation through the hips, starting to create space not only in the hips, the hip flexors, the pelvis, and the low back. Maybe the eyes are still closed, or we can give ourselves permission to close back down. Relax once again, the brow, the eyes, the jaw. Allow the breath to be organic but rhythmic. If you do notice the breath shallow, just smooth and lengthen it out. With each exhale, your body growing a little more relaxed. Moving into our diaphragmatic or belly breath, let's see if we can send the breath to reach lower in the body, activating the diaphragm. So as we breathe in, the lungs not only expand, the diaphragm draws downward, creating that filling up or inflation sensation of the belly. As we exhale, that parachute-shaped muscle draws up towards the lungs to help deflate, and the belly softens down. Just continuing with your diaphragmatic breath and not straining or trying too hard if it's difficult to feel that movement of the abdomen. Just breathing deeply and rhythmically if all else fails. Relaxing the body fully in the last couple of moments or seconds rather of the exhalation or counts. But the next time the belly falls towards the earth, we're going to keep the upper arms connected to the mat, the elbows connected, and we're just going to float the upper arms towards, or the fingertips towards the ceiling. Just pivoting on the elbows, if that makes sense. So we're still at 90 degrees. Turn the palms towards one another, towards the chest, and then let the hands reach towards the front of the shoulders or the chest area. The fingers might connect to the chest, or maybe they just kind of float in that area downward. Regardless, bring awareness back to your chest area, to the heart, specifically your physical beating heart, your big, beautiful heart where you house compassion and love and kindness, forgiveness. Again, that grace and empathy, not only as the giver, but also as the receiver. Gently inquire inward, asking your heart what it is you need the most right now. Not trying too hard to find the answer, you already know it. Just listen. If it's grace that resonates with you today the most, maybe it's I practice today's session with grace, my physical body, emotionally and mentally. Whatever your intention is, just repeating it to yourself in an I or I am statement with conviction. I am here. I am enough. I am whole and complete exactly as I am, whatever it is. Repeat your intention as though you believe it. Good. And then when you're ready, let the elbows draw down towards the ribs. Let the arms float down towards the outer thighs. Maybe the fingers make contact to the outer thighs. And just very slowly now, as we inhale, start to draw the knees together. Let this be a 3 or 4 parts, using 3 or 4 breaths. Inhale, pause. Exhale, bring the knees closer together. You might have to adjust the feet, wiggling them away. And just a very slow process, just embracing any messiness or wiggling, shaking. If it happens, it happens. Good. Once the knees are together, heel toe of the feet to the width of the mat now. The heel's a little wider, the big toes turn in and the knees drop in towards one another. Maybe they make contact to support. You might feel the need to push into the feet, tilt the pelvis, lift the tail, curve the lumbar spine down, and then release that sacrum down. Now let's float the arms up towards the sky. Allow the shoulders to stay connected to the earth beneath us. Take a big breath in, spread the fingers wide. As we exhale, bring the right arm under the left, cross the arms around the chest, reaching fingers for opposite shoulders. Maybe walk the fingers towards the spine to get a little deeper without compromising your ability to take those nice, smooth, rhythmic breaths. Good. Next inhale, we'll float the arms back to the sky, shoulders connected. Exhale, opposite arm comes underneath, reaching again for opposite shoulders, wiggling the fingers in. Soften all the muscles of the face. Focus on those breaths. And then again, inhale, reach the arms back up towards the sky. Exhale, let's mindfully float the arms down. slowly allowing them to fall to the sides. We'll heel toe the feet back to about hip distance so the heels are underneath the knees. Again, readjust the pelvis and spine if that calls to you. And then we're going to draw the knees over the hips. So engaging the core maybe one leg at a time, pull the navel back towards the spine, up towards the crown, so that we can hold the legs in place here. So knees are stacked over the hips now, the legs are zipped in, and the ankles can just be relaxed to start. Good, we're gonna start to move here. If you want a different position for the arms, you're welcome. If you need to take rests, you're welcome to as well. So we're gonna take a nice big breath in as we exhale. We're gonna open the knees up to that butterfly pose, drawing the heels towards the tail. And then we're gonna push the feet away slightly to bring the knees together and then part the lower legs, the ankles away as the knees stay close and connected. So bring the feet together, exhale, open the knees to that butterfly pose, and inhale, draw the knees together and open through the ankles and feet. And just continuing like that, working on hip mobility, range of motion. So again, just nice, slow, mindful movement. Good. Now the next time the feet come together, the knees drop open wide, we're going to reach the hands for the feet to bind around the outer edges and just drawing those arms nice and heavy towards the earth, the shoulders towards the earth. And we feel, again, the feet maybe making contact as the knees drop open wide, maybe exploring the feet coming apart and just walking and or rocking and wiggling a little from side to side. Good. Trying to keep that neck nice and long, rather than compressing or flexing through the cervical spine or those smaller vertebrae of the neck, keeping them spacious. Good, let's come on back to stillness. Bring the hands away from the feet, bring them to the outer edges of the knees, draw the knees in towards one another. Cup the hands around the right shin as we release the sole of the left foot to the mat, continuing to bend through that knee. Good, let's squeeze the right thigh in as we exhale, pushing it away as we inhale. Again, the right ankle can continue to be relaxed and just notice that squeeze of the quad, the thigh, maybe getting a little more into the glute. Good, and then we can start to release the left hand down to the side. We're going to flex the right heel, turn the right knee out to an external rotation as we bring the right ankle to the left thigh, and maybe keep the hand at the right thigh, just gently pressing it away. Explore any movement here. Maybe you like to rock from side to side. So just continuing to flex through the right heel in this pose to help protect our knee. Good. When we come back to center, we can explore lifting the left foot away from the mat, taking a binder on the back of the left thigh. So we're still flexing through the right heel. The left ankle can be relaxed. And again, you might explore little rocking sensations. Maybe there's different movement that calls to you. Checking in that the neck's not compromised, readjusting. You can always use your strap, looping it between the space of the legs and around the front of the left shin here. Good, let's come on back to stillness, relax. Any areas that don't need to be tense or contracted, take 2 rounds of breath. Slowly release the left thigh, allowing the foot to reconnect to the mat. Bring the arms out to T. Take a big breath in as we exhale. Allow the legs to slowly fall over to the left, maybe turning the head to the right. If it doesn't feel good to keep the legs in this position, again, the right heel still flexed, just that reminder. You can uncross the legs. You can come into your own variation of a supine twist, maybe just stacking the right knee over the left. So listen to your body. Once you found your position, soften back through the eyes, re-arrive into the present moment, not trying to stop or change anything, but rather taking a more non-judgmental approach to whatever transpires or surfaces here, watching the comings and goings of whatever arises. Good. When you're ready, nice and slow, bring the head back to center, bring the legs back up. We'll uncross the right leg from the left, find our way back to center, however it feels good for you. And maybe just add a little rock of those knees from side to side before we come over to the other side. Notice any differences, maybe feeling more spacious, maybe feeling more tense, maybe feeling more loose. And then we'll come on back to center, bring those feet about hip distance, grounding into the right foot. We'll pick up the left, flex through the heel, and cup our hands around the shin, just with a couple rounds of breath, squeezing in as we exhale, releasing as we inhale. Good, and then release the right arm. Continue to flex through the left heel as we externally rotate the knee out to the side, crossing the left ankle at the right thigh. Just pausing here, maybe with a little rock from side to side. Maybe we're giving ourselves our own personal assist by gently pressing the left leg away. Anytime we're adding a little bit of our own assist here, again, we're not forcing, and it's not to force our body into a deeper expression of the pose. It's just to create a little more space that we might not be able to do on our own without a little bit of assistance. Just keeping that in mind. Good. Left heel still flexed as we come back to stillness. We'll draw the right leg away from the mat using your strap or wrapping the hands around the back of the thigh. Relax your shoulders and lengthen back out through the neck. Again, we might find a little movement rocking from side to side. The eyes might still be closed. And I do encourage, if it doesn't feel forced, keep the eyes closed as often as you can, or close them back down once you come into each position. Re-arrive. And if you've been rocking and moving this whole time, I invite you now just to find some stillness if that feels okay. Taking a couple rounds of breath, softening in any tension. After an inhale, we'll release the right foot back down, bring the arms to a comfortable position. Maybe it's wide to create more space for the legs. And on an exhale, we'll now allow the legs to fall to the right, turning the head over to the left. Again, if it doesn't feel good for the neck to turn, you're welcome to bring it back. So anytime you experiment with different movements or expressions of each pose, you're welcome to change your mind at any point in time. Good. After an exhale, slowly bring the head back to center. Slowly draw those legs back to center. Uncross the left leg from the right. Again, we'll plant those feet, adjust the back body, rock the knees slowly from side to side, just again exploring and observing. Good. Once we come back to center, bring the right foot over to meet the left. Push into the feet to lift the hips, sliding them a couple of inches to the left edge of the mat. And we're going to roll onto the right side of the body using the lower arm to support the head. So finding yourself in a fetal position, taking a couple of rounds of breath. Gently pressing the upper hand into the mat when you're ready and slowly curling our way up. Once we're up, we can just really swing those legs around and transition our way into a tabletop position. So we're going to come onto the hands and the knees. If you feel any pressure, pain in the knees, you can always fold your mat a couple of times to add a little extra cushioning. Same with the wrists, any kind of tension in the wrists, you can fold the top of your mat to relieve that, bringing the base of the palm to the mat. Otherwise, we're clawing the fingertips gently into the mat to create some space under the fingers and the palms, the wrists below the shoulders, the knees below the hips. And just notice the spine, what you have a tendency to do as you find this pose. Are you lifting the back body? Are you dropping the belly? Can you find that neutral pelvis and then the spine following in a more neutral way, those natural curves still there, nice and soft through the elbows, the neck long, the chin tucked. Take a big inhale. As we exhale, draw the navel to spine and really round the spine out towards the sky, feeling space between each vertebrae and the shoulder blades as the head drops, the tail curves. As we inhale, the belly starts to draw down gently. The elbows stay soft as then the chin and tail slightly lift. So nothing too exaggerated. Let's begin to flow in our own rhythm with our own breath, exploring any additional movement. If it calls to you, maybe closing the eyes. Good. We're going to end on an exhale. And as we round the spine towards the sky, let's give the head a little rock or wiggle, loosening tension through the neck. And as you're ready, bring the head to stillness and come back to that neutral spine, so that slight engagement of the belly. Now we're going to step the left palm slightly in towards the right, just finding our center of gravity. And we're going to release the right arm. We're going to send it out towards the right and up towards the sky. Now, instead of threading the needle initially, we're going to turn the palm behind us and bend the elbow, bringing the hand to the low back. Try to soften the left elbow if you're hyperextending it. And then we're going to drop the left ear to the left shoulder, tucking the chin towards the chest. So very gentle and slow and mindful in your movement. We'll bring the head back up, followed by the right arm, sending it up towards the sky. Now we'll exhale to thread the arm under and through the left, dropping down to rest gently onto the right shoulder and temple. Walk the left fingers away from the crown. Keep the fingers tented, the arm engaged. Allow the left shoulder to draw down away from the ear with a gentle press into those left fingertips, pressing away from the crown. Notice if you're holding tension in the right arm, can you soften and relax the shoulder, the elbow, the lower arm, the wrists, and the fingers? Is your breath shallow? Do you need a tension relieving breath to reset the breath, or just more mindfulness in gathering that fuller rhythm? Good. Let's stay down, but slide the left palm back under the shoulder. So placing that palm in front of the face essentially now. We're going to send the left leg out to the left, making contact through the sole of the left foot. Then we're going to press into the left palm to come back into table, but with the left leg extended out to the left. Okay, I'm going to take a big breath in through the nose as we exhale. We're going to sink the hips back towards the heel. So moving with breath, gentle bend in the elbows. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to sink back. Making sure as well as the elbows being soft that we're not hyperextending through the left knee. It's a little soft there. Good. The next time we come down, we're going to stay down. You can drop to the forearms. You could use your bolster or blocks to support if the floor is not close enough for you, or you can bring the elbows wide and bring the brow right down to the stacked hands or fists, or maybe to the mat. Don't worry if your right glute doesn't come down to touch the heel. Maybe there's space there. Find as much comfort as you can, settle in as best you can, and just come back to those deep, nourishing, rhythmic breaths. Good, and one more full inhale and exhale here. Beginning to ease your way out of the pose, lifting the head, bringing the palms back to the mat, walking them up and lifting the hips away from the heel. Good, we're just gonna slide that left knee back in. Let's draw some half circles with the hips. So starting on all fours, reaching the hips over to one heel, lifting back up for that half circle and then down towards the opposite heel. And just a couple more times. Good. Let's come on back to all fours, curl our toes, sink the hips back towards the heels, and downward dog is optional always. Every pose is. If it's in your practice, lift the hips up now. Adjust the feet, find just that right upside down V shape in your body that feels good. The feet about hip distance apart or a little wider, the shoulders broad as the head drops towards the earth. The knees soften as they do, the belly draws back towards the thighs, and the tail lifts even higher. Instead of pushing towards the back wall, it lifts towards the sky. Give a little wiggle through the head and neck, let that tension go. You can come down at any point in time to the knees to rest, or stay with me for 3 deep rounds of breath, slow and full. One more inhale. And we'll use that exhale to very slowly, gently drop the knees down before we come over to the other side. Bring the knees wide, big toes together, sink the hips back towards the heels, and find your expression of child's pose. Again, you might want to use props if you aren't comfortable in this pose. If you need, again, a little bit of a lift away from the mat, you could bring your bolster pillows under the torso to support you, letting the arms drape out to the sides. If you're in a fuller expression of the pose without any props beneath you, see if you can bring the elbows a little wider, really focusing on softening the space between the shoulder blades. We spend enough time through our day mindlessly running around from A to B and all the busyness, mindlessly disconnected from our bodies. This is our opportunity to reconnect. Noticing your breath, body softening a little more, surrendering with each exhalation. Good, one more big breath in. And just allow the full exhalation to float all the way out, resisting the urge to move until it's completely released. And then in your own way, very gently begin to bring those arms back in to support you, drawing yourself gently up into that tabletop pose. Good, so this time we're going to bring the right palm slightly in towards the left just to find that center of gravity, still clawing the fingertips into the mat. Keep that low belly pulled in, release the left arm, inhale, float it out to the left, looking up in that direction. Flip the palm behind you, bend the elbow to rest the hand towards the low back or towards the right side of the body. Very slowly, mindfully drop the right ear towards the right shoulder, stopping if you feel any kind of strain. Sometimes tucking the chin a little closer to the chest. And allow the shoulder or the ear to drop a little further, opening up through the left side of the neck. And then we'll gently lift the head back to a neutral position. The arm follows, floating up towards the sky. And now as we exhale, we'll thread the left arm through and under the right, gently allowing the shoulder to drop down. Walking the right fingertips away, maybe tenting through the fingers. You may notice the hips kind of shifting to one side. See if as you reach that arm up and gently press down into the fingers, you can soften in the low back. You can draw the right hip slightly back and then focus on those hips being a little more square, the tail drawing up. Relaxing entirely through the left shoulder, arm, and fingers. Good. Take a fuller breath in. And as we exhale, deepen the bend in the right elbow to slide the palm closer to the face so that we can come on, or actually let's send the right leg out to the right. Let's do the same thing on both sides, making contact with the right foot and then pressing into the right hand to come on up into that table with the right leg extended out to the right. Don't worry about what position the toes are pointing in. Just find what feels comfortable for you. And there's no kind of torquing through the joints of the right leg. Take a big breath in. Exhale, sink the hips back towards the heel. If it feels better to curl the left toes for any reason, you can experiment with that instead. You'll get a little more of a stretch through the sole of the foot. Or maybe it feels better to just keep the foot flat and sink a little deeper towards the earth. Good. The next time we sink back, we're going to stay. So again, just drop the forearms. Maybe you stay lifted through the chest. Maybe the elbows come wide and you stack and support the head. Again, the right knee is soft. One more full round of breath here. And gently lifting the brow, repositioning the hands to support you and coming on up, and we'll slide that right knee underneath. Good. From here, we're going to curl our toes, walk the hands back towards the body, and see if we can lift the knees to balance on the toes. You can keep the fingers connected. You can adjust the different or distance between the feet. You can wiggle or rock from side to side, or you can start to focus on more balance, adding a little more weight to stretch out through the feet by bringing maybe one hand to the heart or both hands to the heart. Maybe it's to the knees, that feels safer, just better. Just start to pull that low belly in as we draw the shoulders over the hips a little more. So finding a little bit of a better posture. Good. Soften into your breath just for a couple more rounds. Good. And if the hands are at the heart, maybe we gradually bring them back to the knees. We start to gaze in the direction we're going, lowering the hands as well. And we might just tent through the fingers. If you need to come into this forward fold in a different way, feel free to add more transitional movements. Otherwise, we're just going to start to extend through the legs, walking the hands back with a nice soft bend in the knees, adjusting the feet to the right distance apart along the way. Eventually, we'll just surrender over the legs. Don't worry about where you are on your mat. The lower belly, the ribs may be resting on the thighs. The arms might dangle down, or if it doesn't feel good to fold forward or there's a reason you shouldn't, bring the forearms to the thighs with a deep bend in the knees so the head is not lower than the heart and the hips. Otherwise, let's let the crown dangle heavy as we might sway from side to side. Opening up a little more through the back of the body now. Good. Let's come on back to stillness. The head still heavy towards the earth. Bring the hands to the thighs. Squeeze the shoulders and elbows towards one another, towards the sky. Deepen the bend in the knees like you're going to sit in a chair. Round the spine, engaging the core, and then slowly straighten the legs as we restack one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow, the head comes up last. Find a focus, take a breath, and then give a little shake. Grab a sip of water, and we're going to meet at the top of the mat in mountain pose when you're ready. Taking your time to arrive to Tadasana, bringing the feet about hip distance apart, nice softness to the knees, a neutral pelvis, nothing too exaggerated here with the tilt, and then pulling that low belly in. We're standing up tall, but not puffing the chest out. Roll the shoulders down and back, allow the arms to rest gently down at the sides. The crown lengthens up as the low belly pulls in and those knees remain soft. Find your breath, maybe challenge yourself to find a drishti point and stay there with your gaze, or maybe close down through the eyes. Bring some awareness to the foundation, your feet. Notice if you have a tendency to lean into the balls of the feet or the heels, or if you can really feel that equal grounding distribution of weight through all four corners, that the mound of the big toe, the baby toe, and each side of the heel. Relax the shoulders a little more. Take one more breath in. Let it go. Soften the knees, plie the arms. If it feels good, sweep the arms out and up. Knees stay soft as we pull the low belly and we reach up to volcano, the pelvis still neutral. As we exhale, soften the knees and bow all the way down, forward fold. Uttanasana, let the head hang heavy. Inhale, rise up halfway, engaging the core. Roll the shoulders back, proud through the chest, long through the spine. Exhale, just forward folding. Deepen the bend in the knees. Sweep the arms out and up like you're shooting up like a rocket. And lengthen back up to volcano pose. Exhale to draw hands down through heart center. Pause here for a breath in. Let it go. One more like that. Inhale, sweep arms out and up. Gather the energy you need along the way for your day. Exhale, soften your knees as the arms sweep wide and bow down. Crown hangs heavy, shoulders relax down. Inhale, using the strength of the core. The knees stay soft as we pick our torso up, bring it parallel to the floor. And then again, exhale, knees deepen even deeper to bow forward. Deepen the bend in the knees. Now hands can come to thighs to support or send those arms out as we shoot up through those powerful legs rather than using our back muscles. Reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Once we're here, take a big breath in. Let it go. Good. Relax the arms down to the sides. Give yourself a little wiggle. Find yourself anywhere on your mat where we're going to take a balancing pose today, dancer. If you prefer to have something to support when you're in a balancing pose like the wall, of course, you can take yourself to the wall. So let's just begin in a mountain pose wherever we want to begin, bringing our hands to our hips just to bring awareness again to that pelvic bowl and finding that more neutral position. We're going to start to lean into the left leg, bringing the right foot in a little closer to find that center of gravity. Notice if the right hip creeps up, try to soften it down, keeping the hips level and square. Good. Keeping a micro bend in the left knee. Now we're going to kick back through the right heel. You can reach the right arm down to take the outside or the inside of that foot. So then we want to tuck those ribs back in. As we do, we'll feel more length and stretch through the hip and quadricep there. Let's just begin by finding our balance, finding our drishti, feeling grounded through the left foot, and maybe starting to gently press the right foot into the hand. Okay, so you can always stop and stay. You can always pause to rest and come back in when you're ready. The next step here is to start to send the left arm up towards the sky. Palm can be forward or toward the midline. Still soft through the left knee. Pull the low belly in, growing tall, and kick the heel gently away. Okay, so we're not leaning too forward. That's a different pose altogether. Unless you're coming into standing bow, that's perfectly fine. But that core engaged, kicking the heel away as we stay lifted and focused on our drishti or focal point. Just find your breath, making sure the right knee is not opening up. Good. One more inhale. As we exhale, let's start to lower the knee back down to meet the left. Take a breath in. As we exhale, lower the left hand to the hip. Let's see if we can release the right foot with control, bringing both hands back to hips. If you have to touch down, touch down. Otherwise, bring that knee up to 90 degrees, hips nice and square. Soften through that grounded leg. Breathe in and out. In. Use your full exhale to slowly, with as much control as you can, lower the right leg down. Good. Shake or wiggle it out. And we'll move to the other side. So we'll start in that mountain pose, hands at hips, nice neutral pelvis. This time we'll start to lean into the right leg, bringing the left foot closer, taking a micro bend. Good, finding your focal point, feeling grounded through the sole of the right foot. When you're ready, you can start to flex through the left heel, kicking the heel towards the glute, and then reach down with that hand to scoop up through the foot. We want to come back again to that hold in low belly and neutral spine. Then maybe we start to just gently press the foot into the hand, feeling more of a stretch through the quad where we might stay. Maybe that's just enough today. Maybe we inhale, float the right arm up, relaxing the shoulder down. Pausing between each transition. We're not in a hurry here. Maybe coming in a little deeper with a soft knee on the right, pressing the leg away, the heel away, kicking back, but keeping the core engaged and that open lifted chest. Find your breath. Good, and then a nice big breath in, holding the pose. Using your exhale to drop the left knee back to meet the right. Again, you might pause for an inhale before releasing the right hand to the right hip. Nice and slow, release the left foot if you can with control. Glide it up front to a 90 degree, flexing back through the heel. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, and using your exhale to very slowly lower the left leg down. Good, once both feet are connected, again, shake it out. We're gonna just do a little more for tension relieving through the legs and hips. First by starting with a wider stance, hands at hips, knees soft, and just draw some circles. Keeping those knees soft. And then reverse. And then lean over to one leg, come onto the toes of the other, and just focus on the ankle. And reverse. And lean over to the other, we'll repeat. Good, and then I invite you to grab another sip of water. We're gonna meet down on our mats. So we are gonna come into a couple of seated positions, which can be challenging with sitting upright using that low core. So if you need to roll your mat a couple of times to provide a little bit of a lift, or just pull the fleshy bits back and away to find those sit bones with a little rock from side to side. Good, we're gonna send the left leg out long, flexing through the, good. So just the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left thigh, pull the low belly in, maybe tent the fingers on either side of the hips to find a little more support in sitting up tall. If that's too intense for the back of the left leg, you can soften the knee more or kind of lean back if that gives you a little more space. Okay, so next option here is to maintain that core strength to keep you upright. Send the arms out and up, maybe looking up as we reach up. As we exhale, begin to fold forward. Take a breath in before the spine rounds. Pausing about halfway and then using our exhale to fold a little deeper. Let the arms rest down. Again, we're all going to look a little different. Some noses might be touching the shin. Some of us might be just sitting upright more, leaning back. Again, the left knee is soft, and maybe we play with breath, lifting away as we breathe in and finding that more neutral lengthened spine and surrendering and melting back down gently. We should be feeling a gentle stretch through the back of the left thigh, nothing too exaggerated. Of course, you're welcome at any point in time just to stay in the position, but once you find your edge, back out slightly. Come to a place where you could pause and breathe and hold the pose without compromising your breath or your ability to stay present, positive. Maybe you can lengthen out your breaths here. Good. After an exhale, very slowly lift the chin and walk the hands back. We're going to turn the right knee up now. Again, it might take a little wiggling to ground back down to those sit bones. Just kind of hug the right knee in. We're going to keep the left hand at the right knee or opposite hand to the bent knee. We're going to float the right arm up and in behind the sit bones, taking the fingertips to the mat, nice and close to the hip. You can wrap the left forearm around the knee, drawing yourself tall as you breathe in, gently twisting to the right as you breathe out, and just continuing with those little movements with breath. Maybe till you arrive in the fullest expression, or maybe you just continue with those exaggerated movements with breath. The left heel is still flexed, shoulders relaxed, the jaw and the eyes. Good. Take a nice big breath in. As we exhale, let's come on back. You can float the right arm up and forward again if you want to come out in the same way. We're going to come back to center, just hugging that knee and sitting up tall, flexing through the left heel. Let's see if we can pick that leg up and lower it down. Good. 2 more times, nice and slow and controlled. And last time. Good. Let's send both legs out, give them a little windshield wiper, a bounce. And we'll come to the other side, bringing the sole of the left foot to the inside of the right, pulling the fleshy bits back and away, flexing through the right heel, and just starting to draw that low belly in, maybe leaning back if that brings more comfort, or just fingertips out to the sides to find a tall spine. Good. You can stay here. You can inhale, float the arms out and up. Maybe look up as we reach up. Exhale, just fold halfway. Maybe the knee softens as we get to that halfway fold. We pause for the breath in. And we exhale to surrender and find ourselves in our own expression of the pose, not worrying about what it looks like or comparing with anyone else. There's no expectation other than listening to our own bodies. Maybe you're moving with breath. Maybe you're just surrendering, just shy of your edge. Maybe you can lengthen those breaths out and smooth them out. After an exhale, start by lifting the chin slightly and then walking the hands back. We'll turn that left knee up, reposition onto our bottoms, and just hug that knee in, growing nice and tall. This time, opposite hand to bent knee, releasing that opposite arm. Inhale, float it up and behind. Tenting the fingers. So we're not leaning back. We're using that arm to help support our core and back body. Good. You can wrap the forearm around the knee and thigh if it's available, or if you're into binding there, you're welcome to. Inhaling, growing taller gently, exhaling, softening a little more to the left. And again, after an exhale, you can just unwind. You can float that left arm back up and forward, coming back into that taller stance using our bind at the shin. Flex through that right heel. Key staying grounded through the left foot. We're going to lift the right leg and lower it down. So we know we're going to do that 3 times, nice and slow. Controlled on the way down as well as the way up. Last one. Gets a little shaky, doesn't it? Good. And then release that left leg. Shake it out, wiggle it out, whatever you need. Maybe grab another sip of water. Bring your bolster close by. And we're just going to meet down on our mat. We can keep a bend in the knee. Bring those arms back out to cactus. Feet about hip distance apart. Just starting to feel the ribs fall heavy towards the earth. Making any adjustments to create more space again between the ears and the shoulders and allow that neck to feel long and spacious through the front, the sides, and the back. Soften the eyes. Let's come back to that diaphragmatic breath. Inhaling, belly expands, abdomen expands. Exhaling, softens. Good. One more inhale and exhale. And then reaching for that bolster, pillow, whatever we've got close by. We're going to bring it to the belly, to the chest. And we're going to pick up the legs and wrap them around that bolster, and then wrap the arms around the bolster like we're hugging. Allowing the sacrum to be heavy, the shoulders to be heavy. Maybe the ankles kind of hook, the hands might bind opposite wrists or forearms so that we can just relax the length of the spine back down to the mat. And soften your eyes and your jaw. Feeling your prop rise and fall as you breathe in and out. Good. As you inhale, release arms and legs and switch to take opposite binds and settle back in just for a few rounds of breath. Relaxing all the muscles and heaviness in the body towards the earth. Good. At the end of your next exhale, and just setting the arms and legs up, keeping the block or rather bolster there. Just give a little wiggle like octopus arms or legs. Good. And then let's slide that bolster down. Now, if you want to just spread out or take a different position for Shavasana, you're welcome to. This is just a suggestion. Like everything else, we could bring that bolster horizontally and then allow the legs to drape over, making sure the heels connect to the opposite side. If there's any other movement or stretching or squeezing in you need, just bring it into your practice and then take your Shavasana. Wiggle the shoulders towards one another, let the arms spread further away, adjusting, making sure the back feels nice and comfortable, or as comfortable as can be, adding a little tilt of the chin to create a long, spacious neck. Begin to allow all the muscles of the eyes to soften, the brow unfurrowed. Feeling the scalp relax and the back of the skull, making contact to the floor. The jaw unhinged and the tongue relaxed. The thoracic area of the body, the shoulder blades, the upper chest, collarbones, length of the arms down to the tips of the fingers, warm and relaxed. Your heart open and receptive, releasing what no longer serves you and welcoming in whatever you need. The rib cage, the abdomen, the low belly, the pelvis, and the hips relaxed. The length of the legs, those big quad muscles, hip joints, knees, lower legs, heels, feet, and toes, heavy and relaxed. Feeling your whole body, the head, neck, arms, shoulders, torso, hips, pelvis, legs, feet and toes, the whole body together, aware of your entire body, relaxed. Trust the timing of your lessons. Too often, our first inclination when we learn a lesson, gain a new insight, have an awareness, or glimpse a new truth, is to judge and criticize ourselves for not seeing it sooner, not knowing it before, or being in denial too long. And that's not necessary. It's not appropriate. We are not at fault because we didn't have this awareness or understand this lesson until now. We don't need to see the truth one moment before we see it. Judging ourselves for not knowing sooner can close us off to what life has to teach us now. We're here to learn our lessons, discover our truths, and have our adventures. Let yourself have your experiences. Allow yourself to learn what you learn when you learn it. Don't judge yourself for not learning sooner. Be happy, grateful, and excited when your lesson arrives. Trust your inner voice, that quiet voice when it speaks to you of truth. Be grateful you can hear it, do what it tells you to do, and trust the timing of your heart. Remaining still for a moment or longer if you prefer. Just invite a gentle awareness back to your physical body where it makes contact to the surface beneath you or where there's space between your body and the floor. Notice where you feel any sensation or vibration, or where you feel your body more as energy than matter. Maybe the fingertips, the toes, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet. And just very slowly starting to invite movement in. Maybe again, you want to just stay in Shavasana and stillness and come out in your own time, in your own way. You're welcome. Otherwise, just starting to wiggle and waken up, maybe taking a deeper bend in the knees. The feet might meet the bolster to rock them from side to side, or maybe you're stretching long, reaching the arms overhead and lifting the heels away from the mat to point and flex. Just gradually, if you're ready, making your way into a fetal position on one side or the other. Pausing there for a breath or two. And then slowly and gently coming on to an upright seated position, taking your time to root down through your bottom. If you prefer to sit up on your bolster or another prop, go ahead. We're not going to be here long. Maybe the legs are crossed, maybe they're not. Just feeling your self rooted down towards the earth and where your body again is making contact. The low belly pulled in to find support for our back as we lengthen up. Crown towards the heavens, relaxing the shoulders down. And if you'd like to join me, bringing the hands together at the heart, elbows soft, shoulders relaxed. Take a nice big breath in. Let anything that doesn't serve you go as you exhale. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.